Hey everybody, Aaron here, back with another video. Today we're talking about The Lighthouse. Let's get into it. Okay, so The Lighthouse is written and directed by Robert Eggers, who also wrote it with his brother. We'll get more into that a little later in the video. But The Lighthouse stars Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, and they both play keepers on this deserted island in the middle of the ocean. And so going into the movie, that's almost kind of all you need to know. I feel like this is one of those you kind of want to go in blind, with the exception of one thing, and I'll talk about that right now. And so just kind of a forewarning for anyone who maybe hasn't seen the film and has been wanting to for some time. Maybe you've seen it and kind of want to rewatch it even. This one might need subtitles for some people, and I say that wholeheartedly because anyone that knows me kind of knows I absolutely hate subtitles on films spoken in English. Just kind of makes no sense to me. But in this case, the Old English that they use in this film is almost a language in and of itself. And I say that because there's a very clear distinction between Willem Dafoe's Old English in this film and Robert Pattinson's Old English in this film. Robert Pattinson is kind of a young guy. Willem Dafoe is this old-timer that Robert Pattinson even calls him an old-timer at one point in the film. And that "what the heck are you doing?" I would say is a good assessment of Robert Pattinson in this film, because to a certain degree, up to a certain point in the film, Robert Pattinson is the audience. Robert Pattinson's character is in this environment where things are unfamiliar to him. Things that Willem Dafoe's character does might be strange to him, weird to him. Even the way that he talks is weird to him. And so, as the audience, we're made to question some of these things, just as Robert Pattinson does. Like I said, up until a certain point in the film where Robert Pattinson is no longer the audience. But regardless, speaking to Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe's performances individually, these are probably the greatest performances I've seen in any film, and I am not saying that lightly. This kind of falls into a category that I like to call duet performances. Something similar might be Whiplash, with how J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller are meant to bounce off of each other and interact in that way. There is an even greater tension in this film building up throughout the entire runtime. It's not like this is a long film. I mean, this film is an hour and 49 minutes. It's not even a full 2 hours, and there's just so much packed into it that heavily relies on the performances and the direction to kind of carry the film. And I don't say carry to belittle or criticize the writing in any way, because it's not that. It elevates. I'm using the word carry as in elevates the actual film overall. The performances elevate the entire experience of this script, this beautiful script, and it banks the entire success of the film and your investment in the film on Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. And boy, do those guys really carry the film. Willem Dafoe, as I mentioned earlier, is almost completely unrecognizable in the film. Everything about Willem Dafoe's performance is a masterclass in acting for anyone trying to be an actor, anyone aspiring to even be a director. I mean, how do you direct a performance in that way? How do you convince the audience that they're not watching an over-the-top performance and instead are experiencing a whole situation with these characters? How do you make the characters not feel like characters? Well, with awesome direction, fantastic direction, and experienced, seasoned veteran actors like Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. And so speaking more towards the writing of this film, because I mentioned that the performances are a huge factor in this film. In the case of the writing, it is a study, it's character study on two really lonely people, two people that maybe tension is building up in them. Even sexual tension is a huge factor for Robert Pattinson's character. I don't want to spoil an extension of that element in the film, but one thing that I think is extremely smart in the actual film is this physical embodiment for sexual desire built up on this island for Robert Pattinson. Those of you who've seen the film know what I'm talking about, but we see one thing and it becomes another thing later in the film, much more real for Robert Pattinson's character. And it's things like that, the personification of the human emotions, human moods, real things that people actually feel, building up to these characters. Yes, it's a period piece. Yes, it's at a totally different time that none of us have ever experienced or will experience. But there's something so real about what Robert Pattinson is going through up until a certain point in the film. You are able to connect with these characters, Willem Dafoe even to an extent, and he is supposed to be like the super weird guy in the movie. There's even a point in the film where Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe are kind of having this get to know each other heart to heart, and Willem Dafoe is asked about, oh, well, were you married? And he talks about the married life, how the wife never liked him at sea, how the wife wanted Willem to be around the kids. And it's stuff like that, even with these characters that are otherworldly, that make you really connect with them on a personal basis. And so genre-wise, I don't even know where I would put this. You could argue that it's a drama due to the fact that it significantly focuses on character study. But the flip end to that, you could argue it's a horror film. The way that it's shot, the sound design, its use of kind of metaphoric imagery. This in many ways is a horror film about obsession. We've all heard the expression curiosity killed the cat. And while I'm not going to say if the kill part is accurate in this film, obsession is certainly a dangerous factor that's explored in this film. Willem Dafoe tells Robert Pattinson, you're not allowed to look at this thing. And so naturally, Robert Pattinson's character becomes fixated on what is going on up in that lighthouse, and that addiction with discovery and finding out what's up there, and that nosiness and that what is he hiding becomes one of the most interesting parts of the entire film. And in this portion, I would definitely like to mention the cinematography and score. The score is very minimal, mostly reduced to this siren sound, but is effective when it's used. The cinematography, oh my gosh, is the cinematography in this amazing. This might be the best cinematography I've ever seen. Similar to Tragedy of Macbeth from last year, this film has that every shot in the film could be a poster I'd hang on my wall quality to it. It is absolutely beautiful. It looks like a painting in every single shot, and the cinematography is almost a character of itself in the actual film. I mean, it was shot on almost 100-year-old lenses. What other director do you know, besides Robert Eggers, would get that to fly with any type of production company? So, The Lighthouse, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Are you gonna watch it? Please come back to this video and let me know your thoughts on it, if you did watch it, based on my recommendation. But otherwise, guys, that's all I've got for you in this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope I was able to maybe provide some insight in any way for film for you guys. But otherwise, I'll be seeing you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, everybody.
Watch you spill your beans.